Well, I think it was fair to say that Bahrain was a pretty wild race weekend, what with the sprint and all. And now our drivers are locked level at the top of the championship. Let's head to Jeddah, where surely more chaos will ensue. Hello folks, welcome back to F1 Manager here with Mercedes episode 53, and coming up for you today is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, a standard Grand Prix weekend, maybe slightly less chaos than the sprint weekend that Bahrain brought us, which I think I've only just recovered from. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. And while you're there, make sure you go down the screen, click on subscribe, click the like button, and click on the Discord link as well, which should be at the top of the description. I have launched a Discord channel for some F1 chat. We're going to put a memes channel in there if you want that. You can also suggest video ideas for the channel, and just have some fun. There might also be some more perks that I'm thinking of bringing to that channel as well in the future. But let's get cracking with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix of 2025, which is today. Here's the championship standings. We lead the Constructors' Championship by 31 points over Red Bull, and we are now joint top with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell at the top of the drivers. Equal on 100 points, Lewis ahead because he has 2 race wins this season, and he's won a sprint as well, which I believe was in Singapore, and also the one pole position. So it's been a slightly stronger season for Lewis, which is actually interesting because last year his title challenge kind of came undone at the beginning. So this is strong from Lewis. We're now actually equal on overall driver rating, which is interesting to see that George Russell has developed pretty well, and I think that shows that he's going to be the driver we take forward once Lewis eventually retires. There's no car developments to update you on because they're still being designed. So we're going to jump straight into qualifying now. I'm going to go to practice. I'll see you in qualifying, and let's see where we end up on the grid in Jeddah. We've made it to Q3. We actually topped Q2, as you can see here from the leaderboard. Lewis Hamilton fastest in Q2, but that was after one point we were both in the drop zone with Lewis and George because we'd done a compromised run, let's say, on used tyres that saw us encounter lots of traffic. So I'm going to send the boys out now, and let's see what our first flying laps have on offer for us. All right, here we go then. The first flying lap of Q3, George Russell a 31.5 in the first sector, Lewis Hamilton a 31.6. But these back straights are where Lewis should get a mega tow, and indeed he is quicker by a smidge in sector 2, and he's 19 thousandths slower over the entire lap. That first sector from George really paying dividends. So a decent first set of runs, a 25.8. That's competitive with what was being done at the end of Q2. Slightly quicker actually than what Lewis managed in Q2. Let's see what the Red Bulls have on offer. And in fact, I think they have gone slower than us. As you can see, Leclerc is third. Verstappen is fourth. Remember, he's 4 points behind both our drivers in the championship. And it couldn't be much closer, could it? They're all inside, well, they're basically a quarter of a tenth of a second apart. That is astonishing stuff. That is unbelievably close, like you couldn't even imagine. Right. Final runs generally don't tend to bring much joy for us, so let's see if we can change that. Here we go then, final runs of Q3, and George Russell is still fastest. Max Verstappen went early and isn't improving, as you can see. He has not improved his time. He will start fourth at best for the Red Bull lead driver. What do our sectors have in store for us? Not an improvement for George Russell, but there is an improvement for Lewis Hamilton, a 31.5. Leclerc, though, is the fastest man in the first sector and looks like he is putting a very special lap together. George Russell not improving. This is not good for the reigning world champion. Leclerc is absolutely on one. He's purple, and probably about to go fastest. He is giving Lewis Hamilton a tow. Russell doesn't improve. Leclerc goes fastest and Hamilton can't beat him, even though he sets the fastest final sector. So Red Bull snatch pole with Charles Leclerc. Look at that. What a final lap from the monogas driver. Yeah, that's annoying. We did improve with Lewis. We didn't improve with George. This really does need to be fixed. Like, surely with the track evolution and fresh tyres, you would go faster. But there's just something within the game that doesn't allow it. At least consistently anyway. Ferrari, they're not actually that far off the pace. Interestingly, they've been a bit nowhere recently in the save. Bottas, Doohan, Gasly and Behrman rounding out the top 10. Right, I think this is a good grid for a Grand Prix. Let's see what the race has in store. Doing something a little bit different with the drivers' strategies today. I'm going to start George Russell on a set of softs and Lewis Hamilton on a set of mediums, but they're both going to do a two-stop, which the game believes is quicker, although the proposed strategies were all one-stops. I think it's going to give us a little bit more flexibility around potential safety cars and maybe red flags, so we're planning to stop multiple times. I think we'll be alright in that sense. Also, fresh tyres will be very useful. Just going to change the strategy slightly, so they're doing something different at least early on. Just so we don't have to try and double stack or anything around safety cars, potentially. Just to keep our options open and do something a bit different. Let's see what happens in the race. I've not underfueled because this is probably a track where we're going to use a lot of fuel. So I want to have plenty in hand and not have to save any if I need to push. Right, let's do a motor race. Interestingly, Charles Leclerc is on a set of mediums, as is Max Verstappen. We've got 5 red lights. The lights are out. The race is on. And can Lewis Hamilton get down the inside into turn 1? Doesn't look like it. Oh, he's wheel to wheel with George Russell. Looks like George is going to have the position. That's fine. He's on the softs. I'm going to ask, well, they're still fighting actually. Lewis takes the position. Right, let's see how things unfold. Verstappen has actually dropped a position here to Sainz, who's made a fantastic getaway on his mediums. I think the AI are mostly on mediums. So at least we've got 1 foot in their camp and we're doing something slightly different with George Russell. So I think what we'll do is allow George to go through and push. DRS is now available and the front 3 are absolutely together. Carlos Sainz doesn't have DRS. So what I'm going to ask Lewis to do is not to fight his teammate. Is he going to give up the position? Doesn't look like he is. Actually, Russell is not close enough really to warrant it. So let's go attacking with Lewis Hamilton. Driving clean air, please, Lewis. Are we going to take the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? You absolutely bet we are. Lewis Hamilton into the lead. Through goes Hamilton. Those sacred words. And Lewis Hamilton into the lead. His tyres are a bit warm now. But that's because we are driving in the turbulent air of the car in front. Russell is actually dropping back. I need him to pick up the pace. Hamilton and Leclerc are just side by side. And look at what's happening behind them too. We've got Russell actually being overtaken by Verstappen. Those soft tyres are just not working for him. Hamilton now takes the lead. Did he get DRS? He did not, so I think he's about to lose that lead. Russell is taking 3rd place back from Verstappen, who had got past Sainz, and the Ferrari has just been kind of left on his own. Poor Carlos Sainz. Right, we need to definitely push with these tyres, I think.
So happy to push now.
As Hamilton and Leclerc are side by side through the S's. They're having a proper old ding-dong. Tyres are getting a bit warm, so we'll just scale back on that and try and match the Red Bulls for tyre wear. Sainz actually doing a better job than anybody in the top 5. Russell does need to make some serious progress. And here he is now finally coming to join the battle for the lead. Can we get him through in clean air? In fact, Hamilton is blocking his way. So we'll have to move Hamilton through, or at least in a moment we will, and try and do a double overtake, I think. Let's see if we can get that executed. Right, Hamilton is going around the outside of Leclerc. I think he got DRS. We'll ask him to drive in clean air. But Russell isn't able to follow him through. Or is he? Deploy, quick, go for it. We're through! George Russell gets the job done and gets himself into the lead of the race. Let's watch that on the replay because we did kind of miss it. The soft tyres just giving him pure, better traction. And that is a position gained for Mercedes, and we now lead this race. And he will have DRS. So here we go. And Leclerc's going to go past as well.
It's not going to
be long now, mate. No, sorry. Russell hasn't made the move. But Leclerc is going past. I thought Russell was taking the lead. Right, well, we've lost a position there. But this race keeps chopping and changing because Leclerc and Hamilton are just trading the lead and Russell can't find a way through. This is really harming his opportunities on the soft tyre. He is a lap away from pitting. Going to get both drivers to top up the battery so that when they do pit, they can do a really good hard lap. Medium tyres, please. It's like going to a restaurant and asking for your dinner. I'll have some mediums, please. Leclerc somehow has DRS there. Right, let's see where George Russell pops out after his pit stop. Russell into the box then. Nice clean stop, 2.7 seconds. Is he going to beat? No. That's not worked out well at all. I was hoping he'd beat this train headed by Bottas out. George Russell's strategy might be completely ruined here. This... Not good. Not good at all. Lewis Hamilton, we need you to take the lead and disappear into the distance, please. Because we need to build a gap to that train so that we don't come out behind it. Should we deploy? We won't deploy, but we can drive in clean air. And beautiful move. Just pull out of the slipstream and go for it. Lick the stamp and send it. George Russell moves up to P12 and this whole DRS train is going to be a nuisance. We just don't want to collide with any of this lot because they're just not our race. Okay, in comes Lewis Hamilton for his first stop. He's going to a set of soft tyres. Please be a good stop. 3 seconds. Not ideal. Is he going to beat this lot out? He's not beaten Lando Norris. Where's Perez? I think he's just going to be ahead of Russell, who's now getting to the head of that train. So yes, the undercut would have been super powerful without all the traffic. So for Lewis Hamilton, with less traffic to navigate, okay, we still need to make one more stop in this race, but there's definitely potential for a safety car, as we well know around Jeddah. But this free pace that he's going to get, this free lap time with the DRS, which is going to ask him to drive in clean air to overtake the Ferrari of Sergio Perez. Can we make the overtake, please? Thank you very much, Lewis. Job done. So Verstappen has now got himself into the lead. Red Bull are definitely going for a one-stop. So we can start taking some time out of their lead and we can close that gap and make it very difficult for them later on in the race. They'll have worn tyres and we'll be on fresh ones. There might even be a safety car that gets thrown into the mix. Right, asking Hamilton to drive in clean air. The Red Bulls are scrapping away at the front. What's the gap to them? It's come down a little bit. It was 20 seconds when Lewis came out of the pit lane. DRS enabled, open, and successfully used for Lewis Hamilton. He moves into 4th position. Now we need to catch Carlos Sainz. George Russell is also on the move too. He's past Perez. He's just over a second behind Norris. We're definitely not following the AI strategy. But I'm hoping that making all this progress, having the DRS to give us free speed and free lap time, will pay off towards the end. At least being on the fresher rubber will just make it so much easier. Here comes George Russell. Position gained. Job done. Alright, Charles Leclerc has pitted and come out just behind us actually, which is definitely not ideal. But he's gone onto a set of soft tyres, which will probably go to the end from here. He's passing George Russell. We're going to be going to a set of softs as well, but just in a few laps' time. And we'll have an advantage. We'll be able to catch them, hopefully at a serious rate. Carlos Sainz leads this race as Verstappen leaves the pit lane. He's actually further behind than Leclerc was. That's interesting. Not quite sure how that happened. Getting stuck behind Sainz has allowed Leclerc to just be on our gearbox. This is not ideal, to say the least. Sainz not pitting. And we're now both through. We need to deploy here. See if we can open up a gap back to Leclerc. Okay, we didn't open up that gap to Leclerc, and we've lost the lead. So we're going to need to
Anything could happen, Lewis. Let's just keep our heads down.
come back from about 20 seconds behind the Red Bulls when we do eventually pit. Russell is now defending from Verstappen.
Anything could happen.
Two-stopper might not have been the way to go. Although, if we win the race at the end, I look like a genius. If we don't, look like a bit of a clown. George Russell's not having a very good time at the moment. These mediums are just not matching the softs at all. Add in the fact that they're more heavily worn. Silver lining for him is he's a couple of laps out from his pit stop, but he is already 7 seconds behind Leclerc, which will become sort of 27 seconds by the time he stops, which will bring him out behind Sainz. For Hamilton, he will come out probably just ahead of Norris. He's hanging with Perez, which is helpful because he's just being dragged along. But Russell has no such favours coming his way. As Hamilton takes the lead, if Leclerc was to win this race, not the end of the world, because we'd still lead the Drivers' Championship with probably Lewis. But if Verstappen was to win, he would take the lead of the championship. I don't think Red Bull are close enough to catch us if we finish third and fourth. So we'll probably leave here still in the lead of the constructors, but we still want to lead the drivers too. George Russell a lap out from his pit stop, so let's set that up for a fresh set of softs. Make sure we kept plenty of softs in reserve to do exactly this strategy as Hamilton now takes the lead. We've got enough space, so we might as well do a double stack. Okay, Hamilton decided not to pit, but Russell has come in for that pit stop. It is a 2.9 second stop. Where is he going to drop out? Lando Norris comes down the pit straight. Carlos Sainz does too. Lance Stroll is 12 seconds back. So George Russell now onto a set of soft tyres, which means he can get motoring. Lewis Hamilton will be pitting this lap. He's got DRS to drag him along with Leclerc. Let's see how Hamilton's pit stop goes. He should drop out just ahead of Lando Norris, or right on his gearbox. 2.9 second stop. Where is the McLaren? I think Lewis is going to be out in P3 here. He is. Lewis Hamilton, his strategy has worked out beautifully. He's come out in clear air pretty much both times. And now he is 19 seconds behind the race leader. Let's see what our pace is like from here. We'll push with the fuel. We'll get George to deploy. He needs to overtake that Ferrari, please. Let's get some high aggression in the overtaking, George. He's moving everywhere he can to find clear air and a way through. DRS. Come on, George. Come on, man. Just send it. We need to find that way through, please. I think we're going to do it now. There we go. Right, get after Norris. Look at the difference in tyre wear. And no, surely it'd be too late to do a second stop now. I think when we stopped was as late as you could do it. And now we're going to start rampaging. George, you need to escape this. For gosh sake. The Ferrari goes through. He's still deploying. He's not got any battery. This just isn't working out for George Russell at all. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, is having a whale of a time. Alright, 10 laps to go. Last lap around, Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap, and he was 1.3 seconds faster than the lead Red Bull. In fact, the Red Bulls both did a 30.2. George Russell did a 28.9 and has held position against Sainz and is slowly starting to catch Norris, but he's just not got the fundamental pace in this race, which is well, he does have the pace, as you can see. Well, maybe actually he was quicker than Hamilton last time out, so maybe that wasn't the fastest lap. Anyway, Russell does have the pace, it's just not working out for him. It's one of those weird things in motor racing where things just don't come together. We're going to keep cracking on though, see if we can catch the Red Bulls. Let's see what the lap time is this time around. 30.1, 29.8, 28.4 for Lewis. That was a rapid lap. So he is now 11.5 seconds behind them with 8 laps remaining. Have we given him too much to do? Let's push on the engine, see if we can catch them with a few laps to go. Okay, 5 laps to go. We have pushed with the fuel with Hamilton. He's a little bit light on it. He's not catching the Red Bulls quick enough. He's a second faster, but he's still 6 seconds behind Leclerc. But like I said, Leclerc winning, not the end of the world. And we saw at the end of last season that Red Bull weirdly don't use team orders. So Verstappen is catching his teammate, who's on worse tyres, so it might still pay off. Hamilton might gain a load of time here towards the end of the race. Russell has finally got into a reasonable position. But if we're going to convert this second and third on the grid to a third and fourth in the race, there's only one person to blame for that, and that will be me. And if we run out of fuel, I will be the only one to blame for that too. So I'm going to conserve with the fuel, and we're just going to make sure we get across the line here. We might still catch them towards the last lap or so. I think Leclerc's out of the picture. Verstappen, as it stands, will move to 2 points behind Lewis Hamilton. But Lewis is catching the Dutchman. He's now good for fuel. Weirdly, this is a track where you recover fuel really quickly, but also you can use it up really quickly. I'm going to attack on Lewis's tyres. Let's see if we can get him back into P2. What's the gap? It's just hovering over a second. It's now under a second. We won't catch Leclerc. Looks like Leclerc's going to get his first win for Red Bull. But Lewis Hamilton might be about to ruin their hopes of a 1-2 finish. So let's set this up. We'll start pushing. We'll also deploy. I'll ask Lewis to drive in clean air. Verstappen moves to defend. Battery empty, but is Lewis Hamilton going through here? He is indeed. That's second place for Lewis Hamilton. Let's push on and see. We'll just make sure that we secure the position. And at least we're back where we started. I suppose that's the only real positive we can draw from it. We are only 2.5 seconds off of Leclerc. But we left ourselves a little bit too much to do. And George Russell's strategy was definitely the wrong one to do, because he came out in all that traffic which completely nullified his potential undercut. But welcome back, Charles Leclerc, the driver who at times in Season 1 in the Ferrari was mesmeric. Now he's joined Red Bull, he has had a little bit of a ropey start, but he wins in Jeddah. Lewis Hamilton follows him home,
So we have taken
and
flag.
Verstappen
So
finishes
that's, P2.
third. George Russell, a fairly lonely P4. So at least we
Really impressive drive.
lose minimal points to Red Bull here. Honestly, I think we had the pace to win this race, but I have to hold my hands up. I got the strategy wrong today. Maybe we should have done the one stop. Well, there you go. Charles Leclerc wins his first race for Red Bull, at least in this universe. Lewis Hamilton follows him home. 2.2 seconds the gap. Lewis did also get the fastest lap. Crucial extra point for him, which does mean Lewis retains the lead of the World Championship, and he is now the outright leader. In fact, Verstappen didn't actually do enough to get ahead of Russell, so Hamilton now has a 7-point lead over his teammate, who leads Verstappen by just a single point, even though Verstappen has won 2 races. And that's the first race that George Russell hasn't finished on the podium this season, which shows you just the consistency he's had so far this season, but also the impact of the poor strategy from my part. Lewis, 2 wins, 5 podiums, and 1 of everything else except DNFs. Constructors' Championship picture, Red Bull gain 9 points on us, so they close to 22 points behind. And McLaren have actually hung on to third, now 2 points ahead of Ferrari. Aston Martin could get themselves into that battle maybe, Alpine could too. Williams having a disaster of a season. So yeah, that was the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which was much more low-key than I thought it was going to be. Usually Jeddah is a bit of a crazy one. Last season we had a very early red flag, but I think there was just 1 yellow flag in this race. Yeah, no VSC, no safety car, no red flags. Very tame by Jeddah standards, but we come out of it still in the lead of both World Championships, which is absolutely where we want to be. And so if you enjoyed that round in Jeddah, make sure you tune in for the next race, which I believe is in Qatar or maybe Abu Dhabi. I can't remember which one's next, but we're halfway through the Middle Eastern leg of this season's championship. Make sure you subscribe for more F1 Manager content. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you join my live streams on Saturday evenings where we've got a randomised grid. There might be some more coming throughout this week as well, as I've not got a week at work. So I'll see you next time. Until then, you're the best fans. Goodbye for now.